Well, unfortunately, there's no good way to actually select or reselect that title intro sequence there of who's doing the music, who made the game, and what this game is. But hello, everyone, and welcome to Thomas Was Alone. This is part of the Indie Game Retrospective that I've been doing. Let's just jump into a new game. It's going to be something a little bit different than what we're used to. Well, in one regard, it's still an indie platformer. The program was a failure. People forgot this. It was a massive flop. The coders started adding name strings to the AIs as a joke. Thomas wasn't special. He was just an AI at the right place at the right time.
Thomas was alone. Wow. A weird first thought to have.
Yeah, so the unusual aspect here is going to be the narrator that we have, who will chime in every once in a while. Narrator or inner monologue of the characters. They have a dozen of one, 6 of the other. But yeah, it's an indie puzzle platformer. Not much to say, really. Oh, weird vocal feedback there. You're gonna chime
Thomas
in.
decided to start listing his observations for posterity. 1. The whole alone thing. 2. Portals. They led somewhere. He'd yet to work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing.
So, the other unfortunate conceit of this game is that they haven't really timed out the dialogue, or the audio logs rather, it's not a dialogue, to how long it takes to get through a level, so rather than skip that, I'm just going to hang out here. It is also doing somewhat fancier things with lighting and backgrounds, and, well, you'll notice the askewness of the whole world right now. It's aesthetic for reasons.
Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think. What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump.
Right, so I guess, spoilers, we were able to
Worked.
jump.
Thomas had solved the great inverted fall mystery.
Interesting to be playing this game about the emergence of AI so shortly before we end up with the Talos Principle 2 coming out.
Jump. But Thomas noted there was no real...
I didn't think I would clear that jump. Let's just pretend that whatever was
This
interesting
all
happening there
seemed
was
a
done.
little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment.
That's a little
He was starting
pessimistic.
to suspect it might even be doing so on purpose. Nah, paranoia.
But yeah, I am playing this so soon before the Talos Principle 2 comes out. I think it will be out by the time this goes live. But yeah. And also, I mean, with the emergence of AI stuff this year.
Thomas wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know. He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might, or might not, be important.
Just a stylistic endeavor, that's traditional in gaming. Is that gaming self-reflection of, like, well, games and platformers, you go left to right, and also up is usually progress, not down, except for that one level where we went down, so don't think about it. And yeah, short level, long audio log. It was only longer with me running the level twice and talking about it again. Don't worry about it.
It might have been paranoia again. But Thomas could have sworn the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him. He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No, too obvious.
Yeah, you'd need some sort of test chamber initiative if that's the case. But also, while becoming more complex, it's still perfectly suited to your capabilities. So, yeah. Definitely a designed world, by the look of it.
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it.
Let's avoid swimming in it. Also, how does
He made
Thomas
another
know?
Mental note. 4. Water. Not good. To be avoided.
How does Thomas know that it's toxic? I get the boiling. You can see it roiling a little bit and some steam in the background, if that's what we're to believe, but, you know. The toxic part I'm questioning.
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
Yeah, we are currently playing Thomas is alone, not Thomas was alone. Big difference here. Is that going to change anytime soon? Moving platforms.
Thomas had a new theory. The world was training him. He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper.
And if
Was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with.
if being better at jumping and taking a mental list of the rules of the world around you is intelligence, I mean, yeah, sure. That's valid. I submitted hundreds of bugs reports. I told that idiot this would happen. Overlapping scripts, more than one AA bound to the spawn into the environment at some point. Turns out I missed the point. That little error changed everything.
Chris took an immediate and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was?
Chris has a different personality. And also, because he's a bit of a downer, he, can't jump over the walls. Welcome to the core conceit of the game. Multiple characters. Wow.
Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not technically graceful, it's probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
I want to say this came out, if not before, then around the same time as another game with a ever-present British-affected narrator commenting on your actions in the world. So, you know. This is the aesthetic of indie gaming at the early 20-teens. Chris, excellent at falling. The camera, not so much catching up.
Okay, this was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Great. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile.
It was the best. I love pressing switches in video games. It is the core of what makes video games fun to play.
Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure. Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him.
No,
Sure,
they
he'd
were
been able
not
to
worse.
Piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
Ever higher platforms is the goal, after all. Is how you platform correctly. What exactly are we
Chris
doing here?
stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot.
Vaulting
The
idiot.
next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
I like the pairing of vaulting idiot. That is an oddly specific insult paired with a very juvenile one. And yeah, I don't know. I find that charming. Yeah. Chris, on the other hand, not charming at all. Just rather grating in just about everything he does. I'm gonna miss that. Ah, we made it. It's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, I almost landed directly on the goal. Thank you, camera, for picking up.
John knew. He knew that this was his chance. A moment to shine. This was game day.
I'm not even allowed to get up there. This is John. It's Long John. Ah, dang it. Jumped over. It's Long John. Okay, let's get you on here. Did this box need to be tilted? No. Is it, though? So yeah, we can't push boxes out of the way, but we can walk with them on our heads. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
This would not do. John needed room to show off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things. Where did they come from, anyway?
They just spawned there spontaneously. And also, yeah, I like that the first introduction to John is rooms which you find it more of an obstacle.
John inhaled the air of the open space, and it smelled of awesome.
Before you realize that he is just
Time
the
to
best
flex
at
those
jumping.
muscles, to put his training to use, time to show those little dots how it was done. John decided to press the switch to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies.
John
You
is
could tell from the sympathetic expression he'd practiced in the mirror all these years.
excellent, but a bit narcissistic. So, there is that to go into. I like that each block is paired with a rudimentary, like, psych profile. You know, Thomas, optimistic, Chris, pessimistic, John, narcissistic, and so on and so forth. Will we have some that aren't istics? I mean, eventually, maybe, perhaps. Yeah, I can't actually get Chris over John. And I will not remember their names coming shortly either. Unless I really start drilling them in now. Oh, what's the way I'm getting up and around here? I'm definitely not getting up and over and around here without Thomas, that's for sure. There's a decent amount of color theory going into this to make sure everything doesn't look like hot garbage. Yeah, you're not getting over that without... Can you at least get in there? Yeah, okay. We're all good. This'll work. Unfortunately, yeah, the crux of the matter is you end up navigating larger levels multiple times, playing like piggyback catch-up.